So yes, that's what we have going on in the world. And now we are going to transition over to national politics. With the start of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's nomination. Now, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's confirmation hearing in the Senate is scheduled to start next Monday. And senators from both sides of the aisle have telegraphed what they plan to focus on during the confirmation hearings. Make sure I'm not missing any comments. Okay. The biggest point of contention will surround her work as a public defender. One such instance was her role representing detainees of Guantanamo Bay. The Republican National Committee referred to her work as, quote, advocacy for terrorists, going beyond just giving them a competent defense. Mitch McConnell has also claimed that she is a soft-on-crime progressive. Democrats, though, are expected to defend her record and look at it in a positive light, as well as talk about the historic moment of seating the first black woman on the Supreme Court. The claims of being quote-unquote soft on crime are par for the course for the modern Republican Party. Republicans since the 1990s have increasingly moved away from defending civil liberties and giving the accused the benefit of doubt, unless they are cops, of course. The thinking tends to be around the lines of, well, they must have done something. They interacted with the law, therefore, even if they're not guilty of this crime, they're guilty of something. What these stances fundamentally misunderstand is the nature of the US Constitution and the rights of the accused. The state must be held to a high standard in order to prevent abuses of power. For populist conservatives, though, civil liberties tend to take a backseat to keeping communities safe. Hence the desire for cops to stop and frisk anyone who may have a gun, defending cops' abuses of force, throwing a book at criminals, etc. However, this is completely counter to the often stated Benjamin Franklin quote that many use as a mantra against anything the government does that they don't like. Quote, those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Now, the claims that Democrats are soft on crimes are largely without merit. There is some minor movement away from overly harsh sentencing, though. As we will see later in the roundup, Democrats have largely supported measures that give police tools to fight crime in a proactive manner, but are simply a little more measured in their response. And in recent years have pushed for being quote-unquote smart on crime, with reformers like Kamala Harris and the progressive DA of Pennsylvania, Larry Kreshner. One doesn't need to practice messy policies, such as zero-tolerance policing of the 90s, to combat crime, but Republicans very much believe that the 90s tough-on-crime measures worked, despite evidence to the contrary. What we are likely to see with the confirmation hearing is more increased partisanship and tit-for-tat play. Right now, there is no upside to reaching across the partisan divide with the midterm elections coming up. This trend started during the middle of the Bush administration when it came to judicial nominations. It cemented in 2010 midterm elections when the GOP had firmly entrenched themselves as the party of no, and their constituents handsomely rewarded them for it. In that regard, we are reporting today that the last night at around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Josh Hawley launched a salvo that is sure to increase partisanship. This needs to be stressed here. This salvo he launched is bullshit. It's heinous, and I hope it, like, Republicans call him out on it. They haven't thus far, at least from what we've seen, but I hope that they will. Let's continue on. The accusation is of a serious nature and is sure to play into modern Q-Publican base who believe that liberals are... Gotta rewind, missed a part. So, Josh Hawley, in a bombshell tweet thread, besmirched Judge Jackson as being a pedophilic apologist. This accusation is of a serious nature and is sure to play into the modern Q-Publican base who believe that liberals are evil. Republicans are increasingly using accusations of being a pedophile against anyone on the left to great effect. An accusation inflames emotions and turns people's brains off. They should not be levied lightly, and it is disgusting that they are doing so. Now, Q and pedo conspiracies have entered the Senate, as they have the House with Marjorie Taylor Greene. However, unlike Greene, Josh Hawley is a cunning and perceptive politician who is able to gauge where not only his constituents stand, but where the Republican Party may go in the future. He appears to aspire for the presidency, making his accusations even more disturbing. Now, the allegations stem from her opinion about the efficacy and legality of sex offender registries. From my reading of her opinions, she has been concerned about how the registry serves as a forever punishment and how vigilantes could use it. Furthermore, the sex offender registry does not just contain those who have committed the heinous act of rape, but also people who have peed in public, have been engaged in consensual sex as a teenager, and engaged in prostitution. Even if you believe that the sex registry is legal and morally just, I highly doubt that you would support placing all these people on it and forcing them to live in squalor because of it. Additionally, Hawley has clip-chimped and taken Jackson's comments as a judge out of context. In at least one instance, Jackson asked for clarity about an argument. Josh Hawley has not released the case numbers that the examples come from, but given the context, it is probably the same case, while another example may have come from her college years. Quite honestly, the allegations should be beyond the pale, but this is what politics has devolved to in the United States. And that is very depressing. Every day, and I really mean this, every day I'm being dragged more and more into becoming, or at least starting my doomer arc, where I just flip the bird to everybody and just go off and just stop caring about being polite, stop caring about being my cheery self, and just start throwing blows. Now, with that said, though, I am still reining it in a little bit. All right. And I hope the Democrats can effectively beat back these smears, but we will see. All right. So let us continue on now with information about January 6th. We at Crowdsource Politics have been reporting on updates for January 6th